Hi, my name is Aspasia Dania, and I'm an assistant professor at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens in Greece. I am teaching sport pedagogy, and within this session, we're going to discuss about how can we apply democratic learning within secondary physical education by using sport education as a model for and a context for promoting adolescent students' development. The session, and particularly the e-lecture, is divided in two lessons, e-lesson 1 and e-lesson 2, within which we're going to discuss about curriculum and implementation issues in secondary physical education. As I've already mentioned, we're going to use sport education. And as you will see in the whole session, we are focusing on sport education because sport is an authentic context for promoting democracy, and particularly democratic learning within physical education. So let's proceed with e-lesson 1. E-lesson 1 contains all those features of curriculum design and implementation that combine democratic learning within the context of sport education. Sport education is one of the many curriculum models that we will find in school physical education, and it is very suitable for 21st century students' needs. Based on game theory, sport education uses game as an authentic context and gameplay as a guiding force for the development of all aspects of culture. And within physical education teaching, we speak about democratic culture. How do we do this? By using the sport education curriculum model, by adapting well-known sports to students' psychological, cognitive, and motor skill development so as to ensure that within our lessons all students participate equally. We believe that physical education is a very important context for education within and through sport, and we can perfectly do it by developmentally modifying games and sport practice in ways that students are motivated to remain focused. And while they remain focused, they become more competent. And while they become more competent, they become enthusiastic sport persons and more willing to participate within the context of sport. So, what do we achieve by the use of the sport education curriculum model? In terms of learning outcomes, we want to educate students that are motor competent. And what do we mean by motor competent students? We mean students that in terms of techniques and tactics are at the stage of skill development that they feel competent to participate. We also want physically literate students. We want students that understand game rules and apply behaviors in ways that fair play is promoted. So, by educating through sports, we perceive that students will develop character and sportsmanship. Above all, we want students that are highly enthusiastic for participating. Our motives are intrinsic and they enjoy situated learning through multiple opportunities for sport festivity. What will our students learn by participating in a sport education curriculum unit? They will learn to cooperate in teams and make common decisions. These are about gameplay and its rules. They will learn to use competition as an appropriate context for improving their skills and tactics, and they will also learn group behaviors and processes as they are applying psychomotor skills in practice. In terms of their health and fitness, students will improve their physical fitness because game content adaptations to their abilities and needs make it an appropriate context. In terms of cognitive goals, our students will learn how to design and implement sport events and not only sport games, and they will do it by learning how to group their teams, how to keep records of their teams, and how to plan strategically. And above all, and this is what is in our concern with regard to democratic education, our students will develop leadership skills by adopting multiple roles. They will take the role of the referee, the role of the coach, the role of the secretary, and the role of the athlete. And this will help them to develop skills that are needed for being close one to another. And what about the teacher's role, the physical education teacher's role? Since the sports education model adopts a student-centered perspective, we want our physical education teacher to be a facilitator of learning. As such, the physical education teacher does not use reproductive teaching methods, but more or less guided discovery lesson formats within which students learn to understand and perceive and socialize. Further, the physical education teacher has pedagogical content knowledge to adapt and modify game content according to their students' needs and assess student learning in terms of the desired learning outcomes. And what about the students' roles? We don't want our students to be passive learners because when they are passive learners, they do not develop in terms of democratic learning as much as we would like. So students adopt leading and peer teaching roles during their practicing and negotiation within groups. And as we said before, students can adopt multiple roles. They may be the coach, the equipment manager, the captain of the team, referee, team manager, or manager for media publicity. We will talk more about these roles in the next slides of our presentation. What about the coach? What does a coach do within a sport education role unit? The coach is not an adult. He is one of the students who is responsible for organizing training sessions to practice skills and team strategies. The coach is a student that works with the captain and with the fitness advisor so as to improve the team's performance. The team manager is a student who is responsible for all equipment that is used within a session, who maintains team sheets and records, and assists other members of the team to get their various duties when the team is a duty team. And what is a duty team? Within a sport education season, we divide students in teams, and maybe 2 or 4 teams are participating and are competing one against the other. And the 5th team is the duty team, is the team that gets various roles concerning record keeping and organizing the whole event. What about media publicity? The students that are responsible for media publicity are responsible for communicating the status of the season in terms of making announcements within the school community or to parents or to other groups near the neighborhood. And some tasks may include the use of a notice board, the production of a newsletter, articles, some publicity in the local press, some videotaping, and some commentating on games that take place during the physical education lesson. And what about the captain? The captain is a student whose primary task is to lead and promote the importance of the team. It's about group cohesion. So he works closely with the coach, the fitness advisor, and the team manager, and with main duty being the leading and promoting the importance and the impact of each team. How do we structure a physical education curriculum when we use the sport education curriculum model? Some of the basic characteristics are: we divide the school year in seasons or units. Within each season or unit, we practice at a different kind of sport. We divide students in teams, and we want to create within team affiliation so that each team feels competent and with their captain learns to be important and skillful to compete at the final culminating event. We organize a formal competition that takes place either throughout the season or at the end of the season. And within this competition, we use it as a context for educating our students in learning to behave in a democratic and moral way within their sport participation. We organize a culminating event and we give it a festivity character because we want our students through sport to become enthusiastic sport persons. And finally, we keep records of our students' progress because one of our goals within the physical education teaching is to see that all students progress at a specific level. If we want to teach with the use of the sport education model and be a democratic leader for our students, we must use conflict resolution strategies during our role distribution because, as we can understand, not all students will be willing to adopt roles in a way that we decide these roles for them. So we want to lead some group discussions and some workshops within which students will learn what it means to be a coach, what is the importance of the media publicity, what's the publisher, what's the importance of being a fitness instructor or a team member or a duty team. And as soon as we distribute roles and we run these workshops for educating students in the context of this role, we have to train our students to lead these roles because we want everyone to pass from every different position so as to understand the context holistically, and also we want to train them. On this premise, we use developmentally appropriate practice according to the grade that our students belong. By speaking of adolescent students, we use different strategies for their role training, and we want to create an affiliation within each team. For this purpose, we use modified games either for practicing our skills or for keeping our students as one, as a group. And within these games, we design basic and secondary rules so that all are given equal opportunities for participation. And we're very careful in our team formation because we have to take into account students' gender, behaviors, abilities, and needs. How does sport education relate to sport in general and democratic learning principles in general as well? First of all students are involved. This is a prerequisite not only of sport education, but also of sport and democratic culture. Students are divided in small teams, and we try to assign students equal ability teams so that we start from an equal level of competition. But be careful, we don't have knockout competitions because students are given multiple opportunities for proving what they learn. On this premise, it's very democratic because the multiple opportunities given through competition lead our students to a kind of student-centered environment and teaching. And as far as this happens throughout the school season and the sports season, it also happens in the culminating event. The use of developmentally appropriate practice means that we have devised games to suit with their basic and secondary rules to the people that they have to relate. So we don't use adult games, and also by doing so, we develop students both individually and as a group in terms of fair play. And the fact that we assign them multiple roles, as we have discussed before, gives them the opportunity to see sport or event from different perspectives, so that to develop empathy about the roles and the responsibilities and the duties of each different person that has its different position. So now that we have a more clear picture about what sport education is, let's proceed with e-lesson 2. Thank you for your concentration.